ladies and gentlemen, the star of Politically Incorrect, Bill Maher.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let us meet our panel. He is a Navy veteran, Christian motivational speaker, and the author of Legislating Morality, Frank Turek. Frank. How are you, sir?
Good to see you.
She is an essayist for Time magazine, and her new book is Nickel and Dimed on Not Getting By in America. There is no getting by this book. Barbara Ehrenreich. Barbara. Hey.
Hi, Bill. Good to see you.
Great book.
Thank you.
Thank you. She is an actress and screenwriter and one of the intriguing stars of Mysterious Ways, Tuesdays at 8 on the PAX Network. Ray Dawn Chong. There you are, beauty.
Hi, sweetie.
How you doing? And his movie Rat Race opens June 30th. His movie Tortilla Soup opens August 8th. And his movie The Muhammad Ali Story, gee whiz, he's a star, this guy, opens December 7th. And he's still my friend, still comes to see me, Paul Rodriguez, with all the... That's loyalty.
Everybody. Hey, did you hear the Canadians? Where are they? Where are the Canucks? Hey! Hey! You know,
Working on the other border now.
Canadians coming to America, taking jobs away from Mexicans is just not right, I think. You know, coming over here, taking our jobs, which leads us into minimum wage.
Yes. Now, we have two books here.
Which I want to talk to you about that, because that's what you pay us to be on this show. You don't scale? Does that mean anything to you, Bill? Hello?
Bill, he's been working on that bit for 15 minutes. I watched him write it.
And speaking of working, your dad has been exploiting this Mexican guy for a long time. Working for minimum wages.
Would you shut up? I'm not joking.
All right. Now, please, I want to get to both these books. Your book, very provocative, Frank. Legislating Morality, as you might imagine, I don't agree. But I want to get to it.
Well, you're wrong, Bill.
But Nickel and Dimed, this is a really breathtaking book, I have to tell you. A lot of books come my way, and, you know, I read them as much as I can. I don't know if they affect me so much. This one really did. This opened my eyes, because I think all of us in the middle and up from there class live by exploiting a group of very, very underpaid workers. And you did a very brave thing, and you took 3 of these jobs. You became a waitress, a house cleaner, and a shelf stocker at Walmart.
And a nursing home aide and a hotel housekeeper.
Right. Wow. And your premise was, how can people live on the kind of wages that they're paid?
Yeah, I just wanted to see if the math would work. If I could make enough money at these entry-level jobs to pay rent and gas and food at a minimum level.
You know, I was telling Hazel, my maid, the other day. No, don't get me wrong. I'm trying to help her with her Spanish. You know, I brought her from Norway. My gardener, Sven. You know, it's hard to get good white help. But I am all for the underprivileged, you know, and that's where my heart is.
I can clean your house.
That's where my heart is.
We live in a time where middle-class people now, I mean, this never used to be the situation, have maids, have people who do all the jobs that they think they're above. And we think because we are doing better financially that we are better. And we're not. We're probably worse, because we're exploiting these people in a way that really isn't necessary. We just have to pay a little more so that other people could live a decent life. And where I think we have to look in the mirror is about how we justify getting away with this. Because I think that's what we do. Poor people are invisible in this country. And I've been guilty of it, too.
Personally, I learned everything from Kathy Lee Gifford. What you do is if you run out, you get some Honduran kids that make your clothing, and there you go, man.
Bill, you believe that consenting adults can do whatever they want.
Yes.
As long as they don't hurt somebody else, right?
What, are you hitting on me?
Well, later. Why can't consenting adults get together and decide whatever wage they want to decide on? Why can't a... Thank you. Thank you.
You know, the other thing is...
Why not rent your book?
The other thing is that there are some people who want to serve or be in the service industry who absolutely want to be compensated and paid properly and paid fairly. But I actually have friends, I know friends who enjoy the role of nannying, servicing, now with dignity and being a part of a family. So
well,
not
nanny, that's not what we're talking about.
Although it's still minimum wage in some cases, and we're talking about how
nanny is minimum wage?
Sometimes there's situations like that that are exploitative. But there are some people who do want to join into family, to service and family work, and there are ways to compensate them.
I'm talking about...
Would you say to your daughter, I really want you to grow up to be a maid? No. I mean, these are not jobs that get a lot of respect or certainly a lot of pay. You know, I think I put the maid job in a little bit of a different category than some of the things, like nursing home aid, the restaurant work. We all depend on these. It's not just the upper, you know, the upper 20% that does. Why don't we admit we depend on these people all the time, you know, whatever they're doing to make our lives more convenient or more comfortable, and say you deserve a decent living for that.
But to pay them properly, to pay whoever does work with you. I happen to not have a housekeeper, but I think that there should be a
And if you say
increase.
pay them properly, of course, people will, most people, not this audience, would applaud and go, yes, we should pay them properly.
You know, Ray,
but then when it comes down...
one of those emeralds there, I think you can take care of one of the third world countries out there.
Barbara,
you know...
But I do take care of the third world country, Paul.
You're a rich man yourself, so don't...
Don't pick on
I am not rich. I refuse to be rich. It is a burden that God has thrusted upon me. And I'll live with it, damn it.
I read Barbara's book, and I must say it's very well written, but there's a couple of parts in there where, Barbara, you say that the people that you were working with actually felt like they liked what they were doing, and they wanted to continue doing it, and they wanted to advance in it.
That was a chapter on prostitution.
No. I think the minimum wage is a floor. It's not a bed. You don't stay there.
Yeah, but
you don't stay there.
But let me answer that. What the flaw is, because I used to say things not like that quite, but I used to think also it's very easy, like I was saying, to justify, to say, you know what, we all started out in lowly places, because I certainly did. I mean, I did every bad job there was, menial jobs. I mean,
oh yeah, come on. I knew you. You and I worked together. We did porn. Remember ACDC cab? You forgot?
But that's after I'd worked myself up the ladder a little bit. But, you know, I did everything from throwing fish into a bat, you know, Arthur Treacher's fish and chip fast food with the splattering acid on your arms, to literally shoveling crap and, okay, but, you know, in my mind, like, hey, you know, I worked myself up. Not everybody can work themselves up. George Bush started, not on a picking on him. I don't know why that name flew into my head. But some people start at a place in life that's a little higher than the others, and some people have a really hard time moving off that level where we're talking about now. And if they're going to do that, and somebody has to do it.
So what do you recommend we do about it?
Well, I think we should have a minimum wage.
Well, I think we should also probably have a maximum wage for people like Paul, sort of cut them off from Paul, right?
Oh, baby. Look, I've earned every nickel I made.
Exactly.
There are Latinos out there who haven't had a fortune, and my heart goes out to you, but my cash is staying in the bank.
Yes, and I agree. There should be no match. But, I mean, if everybody who had a lot of money, or just some money, would pay a little more for an orange, so that the people who picked it and packed it and bagged it didn't have to scrape.
Why'd you have to use the word orange and look at me? Let me tell you something. My family used to pick oranges, and God bless, now we own them.
I have to take a break. We'll come back. We'll be with you. Well, all of Washington is talking today about Senator John McCain. Have you heard this? The rumors are right that he is poised to leave the Republican Party. And I think it says a lot when a guy can take being locked in a box and tortured by the North Vietnamese for 5.5 years, but not one more minute of Trent Lott.
Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher, brought to you by Chevrolet.
President Bush visited the Everglades today, said this area needs our protection. I'm here in the cause of preserving and protecting the Florida Everglades. Translation, we checked, there's no oil under it. Okay, now let's get to Frank's book, Legislating Morality. I think it's very guts of you, of anybody. I'm always for nonconformity. Anybody who says, hey, wait a second, we've heard this for a long time, but let's go back and look at it. In this case, I think you're wrong, but we have always heard that you can't legislate morality. You say we have and we could. Let me tell you why you're wrong. Because you make no difference between laws that affect other people and laws that only affect yourself. Yes, we should legislate against murder. That would affect another person.
Yeah, sure.
But the laws you talk about, we've mentioned pornography, prostitution, drugs. These are things that don't affect directly another person.
Well, sure they do.
Directly?
Well, it doesn't matter whether it's direct or not. They affect other people. I mean, first of all, morality is about right and wrong. And every law declares one behavior right and its opposite wrong. And therefore, all laws legislate morality. The only question is, whose morality?
No, all laws don't legislate morality. Murder is not against the law because it's immoral. It's against the law because it kills somebody.
And that's morality. You want to call it ethics?
In my lifetime, there were immoral laws in the South against African Americans.
Sure.
Not all laws are moral. The problem with morality is, who is the judge of this?
Some laws are convention, you're right. Like, for example, we drive on the right, the Brits drive on the left. But once we decide on that convention, you have a moral obligation to drive on the side we choose. Otherwise, you're gonna hurt yourself and others.
What about slavery? Slavery was legal at once.
Yeah, and we legislated against it, Barbara.
But we need the same kind of struggle to change other laws that I think are immoral. I think a lot of the laws against drugs are immoral and just result in huge numbers of people in prison.
Sure. I'm not saying all laws are good.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I'm not saying all laws are good. I'm saying it doesn't matter what perspective you have on the law, whether you're liberal, libertarian, or conservative, you're trying to impose morality.
That is not true. Your premise is not true.
Do you think
murder is not illegal because it's immoral? It's illegal because it takes away someone else's life.
Of course it does. Yes.
What was this?
With the fact that that's
born. I'm talking about, I want the government involved in making sure my marijuana doesn't have paraquat. I want my crack clean. I want my workers with good medical attention.
That's right.
Well, street lights so I can see what I'm buying. That's where I want government.
Right.
I'm not saying that every law is a moral law. I'm simply saying that every law is imposing somebody's perspective.
You say it right here. You said all laws declare directly or by implication that one behavior is right or its opposite is wrong.
Is that not right?
That's not right.
Why is it not right? Why is it not right?
Because your next sentence shows with the flaw. You say securing justice is the primary function of our government. No, it's not. Safety. The reason why people are willing to give up some of their freedom is for safety, so that the bad guys can't attack us and the robbers here can't rob us and rape us and kill us.
Because it's immoral to do so. That's right.
No, it's just...
It's not immoral to kill somebody.
It is, but that's...
What happened, what's war? What's war? You know, as like, you know, what happened December 7th, what's Pearl Harbor? In war,
isn't that the date of your next movie coming out?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it is.
I knew it was.
December 7th. A day that will live in infamy.
Look, you guys believe, right, that a woman has a moral right to choose an abortion, don't you?
We do.
Okay, that is a moral position, is it not?
That is.
Okay, well, that's legislated morality. In fact, that's imposed morality. That wasn't even legislated. The legislated morality was overturned by the Supreme Court.
Not everybody has to have an abortion. But I want to see if I can make I want to make an alliance with you, if possible, here. I think it's immoral to pay people less than they can live on, right? So
you want to legislate that?
Will you? Can we join up on this? Will you join me on, say, legislation that says everybody has to get a living wage, which would be, I don't know, $20 an hour in the Los Angeles area?
I would love to do that if it could be done. I don't know economically if it could be done.
No, but what does that matter?
Bill mentioned...
Not ridiculous. It's been done.
How has it been done?
We have a minimum wage now. They vote on raising it all the time.
In Barbara's book,
all they have to do is vote yes.
$14 an hour living wage. You tell me a small business could pay somebody $14 an hour?
No, but listen. A handsome, attractive Caucasian man like you in the porn business, you can go through the roof. We're talking big. You're gonna look like a young John Boyd in Midnight Cowboy, man. You got it all, baby. Run with that.
And again, the abortion thing, it's not that we think it's immoral. We just think the government should stay out.
That's right.
That's a moral position, Bill. That's a moral position.
It is morally neutral. Morally neutral.
There is no neutrality in the abortion issue. Because, look, the pro-life side wants to impose continued pregnancy on the mother. The pro-abortion side wants to impose death on the baby whenever abortion is
It's not a baby. That's the point.
Medically, it is. Scientifically, it is.
No.
Thank you. It is. It's just... And if it's not... If there's any doubt, doesn't it make sense to give the benefit of the doubt to life?
I have no doubts that a bunch of goo is not a baby.
Bunch of goo.
That's right.
Biologically, you're an heir, Bill. I hate to tell you that, but you are.
Oh, no. The issue is, when does the soul enter into the fetus and become a human being with choice?
We're not talking religion here.
But you know what? It becomes an issue of soul. It becomes an issue of soul.
Don't bring religion in.
Because like all religionists, you believe that you have the certain answer. And that's the difference. That's why you believe...
You don't have an answer. You're telling me you're right.
That's right.
You're telling me you're right.
What we're saying is government stay out of it because we don't know who is right. We don't know who's safe.
So why don't you...
So don't legislate any of it.
The thing about it is that, Bill Maher's probably impregnated more women.
Back in the porn days, right?
No. This man at the Playboy Mansion, he is a terror. But anyway, look, I'm not putting your business out on the street, man. But I'm saying someone who should probably open his own halfway house for women should not be jumping on this guy over this moral... I'm kidding. I'm on your side because I want to be on the show again. So what's your sign?
All right, I have to take a break. We'll be right back.
Join us this week on Politically Incorrect when Bill's guests will include comedy legend Martin Short, recording artist Coolio, actress Mary Lou Henner, and from MTV News, Chris Connolly.
All right, we were talking about Frank's book, Legislating Morality, and you mentioned pornography. That certainly abuts the issue. So, listen to this. In Cincinnati, a guy was recently acquitted by a jury.
A girl.
A girl, okay.
A woman.
Like I said, a woman.
Not that I'm well-read or nothing.
No. What I think is interesting is that what the jury basically said is we've always judged this topic by community standards. At least the Supreme Court used that phrase, community standards. And what happened is in this country now, the community standards are for pornography. People like it. More people use it than don't. So the community standard, okay.
Isn't it ironic that the Supreme Court was basically, they're all flaccid except for the women there, should legislate, pornography and stuff like that. I read the case that you're talking about, and it took the jury 3 days and 3 nights. They had to send out for hot towels and 2 cartons of cigarettes in order for them.
For hours.
They had to watch it for hours, and they said, "Hey, this is nothing. We got better stuff at home."
No, but Bill, the community standard doesn't mean... I mean, the community standard in this country was slavery for a while. That doesn't make it right.
I said that earlier, and you were on the other side of that one.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
No, I agree.
Make up your mind, man. Don't vacillate.
We legislated against slavery because it was the right thing to do. Before we legislated against it, we had a law that said it was okay to have slaves. That was wrong. I don't disagree with that. But either way, you're legislating.
Underdog, man.
Actually, we went to war to preserve the Union.
That's right. Yeah, man. It was more about cotton and tobacco, I think, than it was about freeing blacks, to be honest with you.
Right. It was the original, the economy.
I got the History Channel. I got cable. Of course, I'm not paying for it. But
I mean, what could be more of a victimless crime than someone sitting in a hotel room? And by the way, the statistics again, or at home.
Or laying in a hotel room.
Or at home.
Right.
86% of all rapists are addicted to pornography. 57% of them use it.
What about ministers and priests and the papal situation?
How about the 30% of perverts who just have $7.99 and like to watch pay-per-view? How about those guys?
How about it?
Who's speaking for them?
And it's estimated that 70% of pornography gets into the hands of children.
That is.
So do guns.
There's less pornography if there was more sex. You know? Why are people just watching?
What about she's said, so do guns get into the hands of children.
And you want to legislate against guns, so why don't you want to legislate against pornography?
And you don't want to legislate against guns? How come everything can hurt us, but the one thing that's so obviously able to hurt us, that gets through?
I have nothing against legislating against guns as long as it's congruent with the Second Amendment.
Oh, and that is
But the Brady Bill has been approved, right?
Okay, but that's not what you're talking about with other issues. The other issues you're talking about, get rid of it because it might hurt someone somewhere down the line.
Right.
With guns, the Brady Bill. That's not the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment says we can all have them, as many as we want and with whatever we want.
Pornography incites lust.
I hope so. When it's done well, it does. I have to take a break. We'll be right back.